might be moving. You move.
Okay.
Go. 12 years ago, a scrawny, pimple-faced 14-year-old boy spoke for the very first time in front of his class. The boy was known to be a loner, and his friends would make fun of him for the way he stuttered every time he spoke. The boy's name was Darren Tate, and on 20th August 2016, Darren would beat 9 other top speakers from around the world to become the first Singaporean world champion of public speaking. Darren, who grew up in a society that rewards the extroverts, is in fact an introvert. In 1921, Carl Jung popularized the terms introvert and extrovert as the two opposing poles of personality. If you're an introvert, you are drawn to the inner world of thoughts and feelings, while extroverts are drawn to the outer world of people and activities. Introverts are like rechargeable batteries. We need to withdraw away from the crowd in order to feel energized, while extroverts are like solar panels. They need to be in events and surrounded by people in order to feel energized. Now, having been in Toastmasters public speaking for a few years now, having served in over 20 clubs around Singapore, I've seen my fair share of both introvert and extroverted speakers. And the funny thing I realized was, introverted speakers tend to do a lot better than the extroverted speakers. And this startled me for a while because I didn't understand this. How could, in a high stimulation environment like public speaking, the normally shy and reserved introverts are actually doing better? So after a lot of research and asking around and observation, I start to realize that there were 2 critical qualities that introverts have and extroverts don't. And this gives them a distinct advantage when it comes to public speaking. And these are natural qualities, which means if you are an introvert, you definitely have them regardless of your background. So if you identify as an introvert, and you're sitting here right now, and you feel like your introverted qualities are holding you back from doing well in public speaking, then what I'm about to share with you may possibly change your perspective. The first reason why introverts have an advantage over extroverts in public speaking is because introverts are better prepared for public speaking. Going back to my example of Toastmasters, for those of you who don't know, Toastmasters is where you get to hone your public speaking skills. And the first thing we are told when we are in Toastmasters is that great presentations come from great preparation. And on that note, introverts tend to do a lot more preparation than the extroverts. And studies have shown this. According to a study done by Randy Buckner of Harvard University in 2012, he did brain scans of both introverts and extroverts. And he found that the introvert's brain has a slightly thicker gray matter in their prefrontal cortex, which is linked to rational thought and deep reflection. And this doesn't mean that the introverts are smarter than the extroverts. No. It means, or it suggests, that introverts tend to spend more time in deep reflection in processes such as writing, planning, and decision making. And because of that inclination, introverts spend more time writing through their speeches, making less errors, formulating the right argument, and also making their ideas clearer for the audience. According to Scott Bergen's book, Confessions of a Public Speaker, he states that good public speaking is based on good private thinking. So if you're an introvert, you know exactly how much private thinking you do on a daily basis. Now, but then you ask me, Haider, public speaking is not just about the preparation. What about the actual part where you actually have to stand here and speak and deliver? Wouldn't extroverts have an advantage? Not quite. The second reason why introverts have an advantage over extroverts is not because introverts are better speakers, is that they are better listeners. Professor Francesca Gino of Harvard Business School, she states that introverted leaders tend to do really well because they always listen to their followers, as compared to extroverted speakers who are less inclined to listen and more inclined to talk. And Inc. magazine has stated there are 2 golden rules for public speaking. The first is that you need to know your audience, need to establish the what's in it for me factor. We're in a public speaking class, we all know this. And the second is that you need to speak to the audience in a language that they can understand. So to achieve these 2 objectives, you truly need to listen. And listening is the hallmark trait of introverts. So that's why introverts tend to form better or more audience-centered arguments, because they always listen to the opinions of their followers or their audience. But then you could also make the argument that, isn't public speaking an inherently social event? How on earth would introverts do well in a place where extroverts naturally thrive? And from that, I have to dispel a common myth. According to Susan Cain, advocate of introverts, she states that just because you're an extrovert doesn't mean you feel less shy when it comes to public speaking. Introversion and shyness are 2 different things. Shyness is a fear of disapproval from the public or fear of humiliation. Introversion is just a preference for solitude and environments that are less stimulating. And on that note, introversion does not equate to shyness. In fact, shyness is prone to everyone. Extroverts can be shy, introverts can be shy can be shy. Probably less shy now that he's less of a beard, but that's my case. Is that shyness is affected by everyone, not just the introverts. Before I wrap up my speech, I'd just like to confess that if you've not guessed by now, I too am an introvert. And 5 years ago, I would swear to you that I thought my introverted qualities would be a curse to my professional career. Well, lo and behold, I end up doing what I'm doing right now. And in fact, my introverted weaknesses or flaws actually made public speaking easier for me. So if you identify as an introvert, I would sincerely urge you to be brave, be bold, and speak up for what you truly believe in. Because your introvert superpowers are not a curse. In fact, it's not just having an advantage in public speaking, it's also in helping you to find your most authentic voice as a leader. And if you're an extrovert, well, then maybe you might consider being an inconvert and try to listen more and prepare more. Maybe we can even the odds a little bit. Because while we introverts may not be as gregarious or as outspoken as you extroverts, introverts are always quietly behind the scenes, persistently and consistently preparing for our next masterpiece. Thank you.